Hi, I'm Linda from Escape Trailer, and we're here in beautiful Osoyoos, British Columbia for the annual Escape Trailer Rally. And I'm so excited to introduce you to Melora, who is here attending the rally. And she is the proud owner of a 17-foot escape trailer. And how are you today, Melora?
I'm doing well, thank you. I arrived yesterday and it's been a nice calm day.
Wonderful. And you're in Washington, that's where you came from?
Yes, I came from Spokane, Washington.
Wonderful, wonderful. We're happy to have you here.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
So usually you're a solo traveler.
Yes.
So what exactly inspired you to take that leap?
I have often been a solo traveler, and I've lived other places, and my usual companions were my children, which I don't consider that to be solo.
Okay.
But it's a lot of the same kinds of things where you have to plan for everything because they don't.
That's
They
right.
just come along. And when I was younger, I did a lot of traveling.
Awesome. That's very cool.
But this is like traveling with a trailer is a bit different.
Right. You're a lot braver than I am, that's for sure. So I imagine traveling solo comes with its own challenges. How do you manage everything, like towing, hooking up, disconnecting, all those things?
Checklists and videos.
Ah, okay.
And when I don't know, I'm the kind, I don't plow through something I don't know. If I'm questioning what I did the last time, like the awnings, I will go watch another video, you know.
That's wonderful.
And that's part of it. And it's just, I'm a planner, and that gives you comfort.
Yeah, I guess you would have to be in order to travel solo. You wouldn't want to just get in your car and go.
Well, even when you're traveling as a couple, the thing is you have to do all the stuff, and it's how you split it. And the time takes me longer to set up than anybody around that's a couple, because usually somebody's doing the inside and somebody's arranging this and they send somebody to check for that. And you just have to go through the lists and mentally start learning, what did I do last time and what am I forgetting? But the lists are really helpful.
Awesome. That's a good pointer. What are some of the safety strategies that you've picked up along the way that any solo traveler should know?
Well, a lot of the safety stuff is stuff people should be doing anyway. And if you are into personal safety, it doesn't just happen when you get a trailer. For years I've taken several self-defense classes that talk about personal space, situational awareness, things like that. And so that's part of, you carry that over. It's like when you're leaving your house and you're out in the yard doing something, do you leave the back door open and somebody could come in, or do you lock it? I'm the kind that locks the back door. And when I get in the car, I lock the car doors. When I leave the trailer, I lock the trailer door. Even if I'm just going to the restrooms, which happen to be right there. And I carry my keys in my hands. I don't go to my car in a parking lot and then fish for my keys. I always have my key in my hand. I will put the keys so they're in between my fingers, which is, some people say it does some good, some people say it doesn't. But at least you feel somewhat armed. If you have a personal alarm, you take that. Just leaving lights on when you're not home. You do that here too. Leave lights on, turn the radio on, make it seem like somebody's there. One of the things that I've done differently here with the trailer is making it look like there's two people. And they don't have to know you're alone. Here, everybody knows who's what. But if you're in a campground you don't know, they're
a little bit less trustworthy.
Yeah, and you don't know what you're going to tell somebody that you don't really want them to know.
Yeah.
And so you try to make it look like somebody's home when you're not. And like I always put out 2 chairs. I have a pair of my son's shoes, which if they take them, I don't care if they go. I mean, they're his old shoes. And you're just setting up, I've got lights there's a solar light that's down there that has a motion detector. When they built the trailer, I had them connect the light in front and the light on the far side to a switch. So I have an extra switch. And if I turn the switch off and turn the lights on, then I can turn the lights on and off from inside the trailer.
Just so you can see what's happening outside.
If you hear a noise, you can do that. It's just things like that that are kind of common sense carried over from being home. And so preparing separate stuff, there's not I mean, it's things like I don't put shoes on my front porch at home.
So basically, just a lot of common sense.
Yeah.
That's a good...
And then there's the usual things, and if you watch all the videos, but it's kind of like home too, try not to come into a place in the dark. And if you have to, check everything out. Don't just like stay close. Use your flashlight. See what's going on around you. See who's there. Because there may be people you don't want to stay there.
Yeah. Decide to just turn around and leave.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
And if you're in a camping setting, it's like at a party. If your car's 2 blocks away and you're in a downtown area, you might say, hey, when are you leaving? Can I leave with you? Did you park over by that? Can you go with me?
Yes.
Or can I follow along?
Right.
And, talk to people who you trust. Don't just go blindly off into the whatever,
Good advice.
It's just, so it's things that carry over from your personal life and experiences that count. And a lot of it, I always talk about, use your senses. If your gut says no, don't do it.
Good advice.
But part of that is you have to develop the gut. And you have to know what your strengths are and what you can't deal with.
Okay.
And then try to address those. And one of the things is a lot of women I know can't tell a guy to bug off. And if somebody's bothering you, say, leave me alone.
Yeah.
And then get louder.
Yeah.
And then get louder.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was overseas in a bar at the age of 16.
Yeah.
And
This sounds like an interesting story.
I came out of the restroom, and there were this group of guys it was in Germany, having a beer in the bar, and they do a lot of that. And I came out of the restroom and they blocked my way. And this one in particular was being obnoxious. And I said, who are you with? I'm with my friends. Oh yeah, I said, they're right there. And they couldn't see me because they were around the bar. And he kept bugging me. And finally I turned to the bartender and said in a loud voice, can you help me please? And it quit being a joke to him, and he realized I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then the guy's buddies all finally came over and said, okay, come on, leave her alone.
Time for us to go.
Yeah. And so every woman has the right to say, leave me alone.
Yeah.
And to elicit help.
Yeah, very true.
You don't have to be polite. And please go away. I'm really not interested. No, I have a boyfriend. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Thanks. That's all really good advice. I appreciate that.
There are other stories I just thought of, but anyway, it just goes on.
That's okay. We'll talk about those after. So, tell me, how did you first discover Escape, and what made you finally choose your trailer?
Well, I did the usual, I'm thinking about this, what can I afford, what do I want, and just reading through different things about different kinds of trailers. And I have to tell you, when I was a kid, there was a mobile home park not mobile home, a place that had camper trailers, things. And we would stop by there, and I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and we'd walk through them. We thought it was so cool that you could live in something this small. And so that kind of was my beginning. And so I've watched them for years. I've gone to RV shows, but I didn't see Escape there at all. And then when you start saying, well, what about this? And then Scamp and Casitas were the ones I was looking at because I like the size and I like the towability and all of this. So Escape came up a few times. And so I thought, okay, let's go look at them. And I really liked the ability to design your own and see what it's going to cost.
That is the really fun part about it.
Well,
right?
yeah, and it's like, okay, if I overloaded it with everything I could possibly want,
right.
Is that something I can do?
Right.
And then I got on the forum and kept reading about different people's trailers and experiences, and I thought, okay, I can do this.
That's awesome.
And so I looked at the hints, and some of the hints that were in there are in the design of this one. Like, this handle is lower than normal because I'm short. I have, there's usually a cabinet inside the door, and I got rid of that because I felt claustrophobic when I was sitting on the bed. And so having it low, it gives me a nightstand, which is really nice.
That's super handy.
And a seat.
Yeah.
And it just, that kind of stuff, you
can really
it sounded good.
You put your own spin on it.
Yeah, and it was hard finding one in the area. And the ambassador program didn't have one convenient. And then somebody wrote, I said, does anybody have one that is more convenient? And someone spoke up and was wonderful about letting me see theirs.
That's awesome.
And it was an older one, and he kept saying, and now they do this. And now, like, the door is different than they used to be. It's like this, but, you know.
Yeah. It's a great community, isn't it?
It is. It's an amazing community.
Yeah.
It really is. This is my second time to the rally. And
wonderful.
people come up, and I remember you, and remember that. And so it's been
awesome.
fun. And I had the old shirt on yesterday, and it's like, oh, you've got the shirt, you know, last year's. So,
Awesome. Glad to hear it. So, if you were to do this again, would you still do the 17 or would you pick a different model?
I think it would depend on where I was in my life.
Okay.
The 17 was kind of a limit because of where I park it.
Okay.
And so if I was, and I'm short, so it suits me. It's really good. I have friends who say, what if you get married? What if you have a boyfriend? What if you get married? I said, well, he can buy his own or he can stoop. I don't care. You know? I'm not building my life around a fictional future spouse or something, you know. It was for me. This is my trailer. And if,
awesome.
if somebody doesn't like it, that's their thing. But
Yeah.
for me, it fits, and you know, you can always overpack. But
Yeah. And it's perfect for where you are in your life right now.
and it fits everywhere, and it works.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, are there any RV travel organizations that are like super helpful for solo women travelers?
I'm sure there are many I don't know about.
Ah, okay.
The one that I've heard of that I haven't gotten involved with is called Sisters on the Fly.
Okay.
And it's referring to fly fishing, you know, and a lot of them fish, but they also, they camp, they hike, they do a lot of things.
Okay.
And that's actually a national organization. So they have chapters all sorts of places. There are annual dues. They have a lot of information on their websites and stuff.
Okay,
So
okay.
that's one. There's one locally in Spokane called Camping Divas, and its focus is camping. And you can be in a tent, you can be in an RV, you can be in whatever you want.
Nice.
And they pretty much stay at campgrounds in the area.
Okay.
And if somebody's going to such and such a campground, they'll post privately on Facebook. There's privacy sections you can do. What park they'll be at and when they have reservations. And
Nice.
that basically anybody who feels like it can show up, you know.
Nice. And
And-
for someone who might be just starting out
Yeah.
on this sort of an adventure, will help give them a little bit of confidence,
Yeah.
right? When they're with like-minded people.
Well, and I have actually been to 3 of their functions and not gone camping with them yet because I was like preparing for this trip.
Okay.
And we can't camp in Spokane in the winter. I guess you could, but a lot of people don't. I don't. You know, we have snow and a lot of parks are closed. And so I've been to a private home where they had coffee. I've been to 2 restaurants, well, a restaurant and a bar.
Okay.
And somebody will just put out on such and such a day, let's go to.
Nice.
And they'll meet. And so
So if the opportunity ever presents itself, then
Yeah,
you've
and-
already made that connection. And
well, I mean, I plan on going at some point. It's just like their season opener I went to, but I was getting this ready to go, and I didn't want to hook it up and spend the time. But I'm planning on camping with them at some point.
that sounds like a lot of fun.
So I'm sure there's others. There are many out there, and
Okay.
people. There are a couple of names friends have told me of groups they've heard of, and I don't remember them.
Okay.
But those
okay.
are the 2 that I'm most
Yeah.
familiar with.
I haven't looked into that much myself, but I'm sure there's probably quite a few out there, I would
Yeah,
think.
I think there are.
So I heard you're also planning a trip to Alaska.
Well, my part of the planning is minuscule. One of the longtime members, well-known Donna D, planned this trip. And she said a few years ago, she put out, she was planning this trip if people wanted to join her. And she put in an amazing amount of effort, research.
Wonderful.
And as she was going along, the community would post, there's a piece of the forum that addresses the 2025 trip. There was advice from everywhere. And people who live in British Columbia in particular were really good about this or that, but all over the place, people who'd done that trip. And then the advice that comes up, and she's so thorough. I mean, she looked up temperatures in the cities and, you know, what they were last year on that date. And so then she made the information available, and people could look at it and take it or leave it, join it or not. And so there's some people that are going to drop in certain cities because it coincided with theirs. And there are some like me who said, I'm not going to do a trip like that totally solo. It's too much planning, and it takes such effort to do that. And then also the security thing, if something breaks down, I'm handy, but I'm not really good. And there are people who have fixed anything on all sorts of trailers, and they'll be along.
Yeah.
And the advice that we got was really spot on from other friends I know that have lived in Alaska, who've driven the owl camp. She had just wonderful information, and it makes it, so somebody like me, I would not have planned this trip by myself.
Yeah, it would be a bit daunting, I would think.
Daunting and a little scary, because you really don't know everything. And we could spend time looking at the fun stuff to do, and as people thought of things, they'd post it.
Nice.
And so we're going to be getting together here, I think, and as we go along, we'll discuss more. What did you find out about this, and do you know about that? And but she laid the framework that's worked well.
How many people are going?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I've seen, we'll find out. That'd be a good number. I mean,
just curious.
I've seen people posting saying they're going, but I don't know if that's everybody. And some of the trailers are 2 people, some are 1. Okay. So over 10, I think.
That sounds like fun.
It's not like 50, but you know.
But strength in numbers, right?
Well, and some aren't going to be doing the whole thing. Like I'm going to do Anchorage and the Kenai Peninsula a little differently with some overlap. And then at the end, some people are coming back to the West Coast to go south, and I'm going east to go home. And so I'll break off from the group and go down through Alberta.
Okay. Sounds like quite an adventure.
It is.
Sounds like a really good adventure.
It is.
Melora, thank you so much for joining me today. It was fun chatting with you, and
well, thank you.
I hope you enjoy your time here at the rally for the second time and get to reconnect with familiar faces. And I look forward to hearing about your Alaska adventure when you get back.
Well, you'll be hearing from a lot of people, I hope. And they may be followed on the forum. I don't know if people are going to be posting to the forum and stuff. But you guys do a good job. And I think it's wonderful you have the staff coming.
Awesome.
It's really nice to meet the people that we talk to when we have questions and things.
It's a lot of fun being here.
After all the work you put in.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.